Hey everybody, welcome back to True Talk. It is Season 3, Episode 5. Tonight, as always, I'm joined by Mallet Editor and our wonderful guest, TreeBoyDave. How's it going, guys? How are you?
Hi there.
Making it.
Making it?
Making it.
So,
Making it.
Yeah.
TreeBoyDave, do you prefer Dave, Treeboy? What should I call you?
Dave.
Dave?
Is,
All right, cool.
You know, my name, so that's fine.
Cool. So you are about 5 hours ahead of us in time, so I'm sure you're tired.
4 at the moment because the clocks haven't gone forward yet in the UK.
Okay.
Wait, seriously?
They go forward at the end of the month. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Time is a silly thing.
It's relative.
There were actually talks recently in the European Union about abolishing summertime altogether, but it was delayed by a few years. So by the time they change it, we'll be out of the EU and we'll probably not change it.
Yeah. We'll probably just be like, well, never mind. We don't care anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, as always, we've got some awesome topics to talk about tonight, as well as getting to know our guest, Dave. Mallet, why don't you kick it off and introduce us to Dave?
All right. So, guys, we've got an absolutely awesome guest here today. We've got Mr. TreeBoyDave here, or just Dave. So, welcome to our show. So, let's just start off. Who are you? What do you stream?
Well, yes, as you said, I'm TreeBoyDave. I stream primarily Overwatch. I've been streaming it since the end of 2016 and currently made somewhat of a name for myself in the Overwatch community, being the highest level active player in Overwatch, as well as the person who did 100 hours of every hero, and currently working on 250 hours of every hero in quick play. So it's quite a substantial task I set myself, but I'm most of the way through it now, actually about 2/3 of the way through 250 hours of everybody.
Wow. That's a lot.
Incredible.
I think I have like maybe 20 hours in Overwatch. If that. That might be pushing it too, to be honest with you guys.
Okay, so were you posting your progress for the 100 hours on Reddit?
Yes, I was for a certain time until they told me to stop because I was posting too much.
That's where I saw you. I remember reading those articles on Reddit. That is incredible. So yeah, TreeBoyDave, he's actually really cool. He's played Overwatch so much, they've written articles about him, which is absolutely fantastic. So what's the story behind your username? How'd you come up with TreeBoyDave?
Well, it was originally a thing back in my days of World of Warcraft. I was running under another alias that was just complete nonsense, wasn't very memorable. And then one of the friends I was playing with kept calling me Tree Boy because I played a restoration druid. So I thought, hey, that's a better name than the one I'm using. But Tree Boy's already taken, so I just stuck Dave on the end because that's my name. And I just stuck with that name since.
Makes sense.
Nice.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Fairly easy to remember and fun to say.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I had a lot of success with the name. A lot of people told me it was memorable, rather than my previous name where no one did. So figured I'd keep it.
No, that's fantastic. No, that's absolutely fantastic. So clearly, you play a crap ton of games, and you stream quite a bit as well. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going when your head hurts and you don't feel like getting out of bed?
Well, my alarm gets me out of bed, and then I do the rest. But I find that streaming is just fun for me. I enjoy the community aspect of it. I could sit in my room alone in the dark just playing computer games by myself, or I could stream and interact with people all around the world and have interesting conversations, and that's a no-brainer to me, really.
Yeah,
Makes
that makes
sense.
sense. I hear that a lot from people that, you ask them, why did you start streaming? And they say something similar. I was going to play the game anyway. Why don't I stream it? Which I think is a perfectly good reason to start streaming.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So, any claims to fame beyond leveled Overwatch player? Anything you want the world to know right now?
I don't think there's anything very significant apart from that, really. Nothing that people outside of, people that knew me as a kid or whatever would know, or would care about.
Well, I mean, come on. In your time in Overwatch, you had to have met some people, right? Come on.
Well, if you're talking about Overwatch, then sure. My exploits in Overwatch allowed me to meet Jeff Kaplan himself, the game director of Overwatch, which was definitely a highlight. My first ever BlizzCon, I got to meet one of the lead people in Blizzard, so that was well worth it.
Awesome.
And it was only because of my community that I was able to go in the first place. So I'm very grateful to my community for helping me get to BlizzCon and meet Jeff Kaplan. So
yeah, I can totally understand why. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Mallet's kind of like fangirling a little bit. It's no big deal, right?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. The closest I've ever been to meeting anybody famous in Overwatch is Puckett's mother sent me cookies once for gifting her a sub on Puckett's stream. That's as close as I've ever gotten.
That's awesome. What a cool reason for it, too.
They were delicious. So anything else you want the world to know? I mean, hey, we've got an awesome audience here.
Well, nothing comes to mind immediately.
Okay. Hey, you sound like an awesome streamer, and everybody should definitely go follow him and check him out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so, guys, now that we know Dave a little bit better, we've got plenty of topics to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about is going to be very short. I'm sure most of you have seen it at this point, but Facebook has been storing passwords in plain text. If you don't know what that means that anywhere that you log in, your password has to be stored so that it can authenticate it when you log in. Makes sense, right? So what you want to do, if you are, good at what you do, you make it so people can't read those passwords easily. When it's stored in plain text, anyone who can get to those files can read them. So the short version of this is just go ahead and change your Facebook passwords just in case. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think there was a leak or anything like that where all of everyone's Facebook passwords is available now. But just to be safe, go ahead and change it.
And just to add to that, if you're not using a password manager, I'd recommend getting on that. They're very good these days. And they can definitely avoid you from getting that one password that you use for everything leaked, and then someone has access to all your accounts.
Yeah.
So get yourself a password manager and make sure every account has a different password. There are some out there that will just do it all for you, or a vast majority of it for you. So it's not as much of a pain in the arse as you think it is.
Right. And Dave, you said even before we started the podcast, whenever we were doing, checks and everything getting set up, that your password manager actually alerted you of this issue with Facebook. So, it may do even more than just store those passwords now. It might even let you know that there has been a problem with a site that you use. So those are definitely worth checking it out. So, Mallet, I'm going to throw it over to you for this one because you sent this to me, that they have the Bafta Gaming Awards. They've announced the nominees, and it looks like next Thursday is actually when the show is.
Yeah.
No, the Thursday after next. I'm sorry. I'm getting my weeks mixed up. I have too many things going on. They are on the 4th of April.
Dates are overrated anyway. So the BAFTA, which is the British Academy of Film and Television Awards, they announced the Game Award nominations for 2019. And there are some pretty heavy hitters in here, but honestly, nothing all that surprising. The main games that you tend to see over and over are God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Spider-Man, along with several other games. The best game nominees, which are probably the ones people care about the most: Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Celeste, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Return of the Obra Dinn. Spider-Man was not nominated, which makes me sad because I'm a giant Marvel fanboy. But there are all kinds of categories. There's even a category for best voice actor in a video game, and even mobile game of the year is voted for by the public. My money's on Fortnite to win that one. So, any interesting categories to you guys, or anything that you think would, any games that you really want to see win?
I'm looking through them all again, and one that I see pop up less than I expected it to is Grizz. I don't know if you guys have seen anything about that or played any of it. It was not a huge game, but it was one of those games that came out, and every person who's played it so far has had the same general consensus of this game was beautiful. The art was, something different. It was so interesting. The story really, tugs at the heartstrings because it deals with the 5 stages of grief whenever you lose someone in your life. So a lot of people could relate to it. So I always think whenever a game like that comes out that I'm going to see it in like every single category. But I'm only seeing it so far in, I think, one of them. Oh, we've got it in 2.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't like that you said Fortnite is going to win Best Mobile Game of the Year. There's so many better games that come out on mobile. I feel like it's weird seeing it go from like PC to mobile and then it could win. I don't know. I just have a bias against it, I guess.
I'm right there with you.
Not nominated in the BAFTAs though.
For
Best
mobile game, it is.
EE Mobile Game of the Year as voted for by the public. Fortnite.
Oh, the EE one. Okay, yeah. I was looking at the other one, the mobile game category by itself. But yeah, old school RuneScape is on there.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised to not see
Pokemon Go.
Detroit Become Human more often. With all the multiple endings and things like that, it was only not nominated for artistic achievement and audio achievement from what I can see, and I was really surprised it wasn't nominated for more.
Yeah, I watched a full playthrough of that as well as a partial playthrough after that. It's just super fascinating. I love the subject matter of that game, yeah, I think it's just really enjoyable to watch. Since I've already watched it, though, I don't know if I'd play it. I know, as we'll discuss later, it's coming to PC eventually. Whether I'll get it, I don't know.
I kind of run into the same thing. I watched multiple people play through it on Twitch, and I kind of just got to the point where I was like, well, what's the point in me buying it and playing through the same story again? It wasn't one of those games where I felt like it has alternate endings that may not be the same based on, decisions that you've made. And I think the game was short enough that people could just go through all of the endings that it had fast enough that I could just watch it all before I played it.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, because I watched Doc play through all of them on the True channel before he was gone. And I watched, I think, Dan the Dapper play through most of it too. So it was like, I just kind of was like, well, why buy it?
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it was a great story. It's interesting. I like the idea of it. That kind of stuff is very interesting to me. But it was just, since it didn't seem like it had the most interactive or fun gameplay to it. It's almost more of like a playable movie than it was like a full.
It's a choose your own adventure.
Exactly. So it was kind of just this. I don't feel like I need to buy and play this after watching everyone play it.
I like games like that. I think because I'm really not that good at other games. But my favorite game franchise of all time, I've mentioned it before, it's called Danganronpa, and it's a Japanese visual novel series. And Detroit Become Human reminded me of that in the sense that it's not super interactive gameplay, but it's about the story and the characters and you coming to care about them. And it's like, in Danganronpa, it's like you pick your favorite character and then chapter 2, they're dead.
Yeah.
And then you pick your next favorite character in chapter 3, they're probably dead. So it's like, it's about falling in love with the characters and the story behind it. And that's why I like games like that.
That makes sense. So what do you guys think then, just looking at the best game, because that's their version of Game of the Year, what do you think will win? And if it's not what you want to win, what do you want to win out of that list? I've only played a couple of them, so the only two that I've played all the way through were Celeste and God of War. I think God of War is going to win it.
I think myself, I think it's either going to be God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep,
Either
it's
one
between
or the
those two. I wouldn't be upset about Celeste winning it, though. Celeste was an awesome game. I don't think it appealed to as many people because it was a platformer and it was all side-scrolling. So, there's so many people now that say, they have to have like the best graphics, the gritty, big games. And if it's not that, then it's dumb. But Celeste was a super great game, so I would love to see that win. But I really think it's going to come down between God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. I agree.
I mean, graphics aren't everything. Look at the success of Minecraft. That's still going.
Yep.
That's still huge.
Yeah,
and all of the spin-offs like Roblox and stuff like that,
Yeah, and it's awesome to see like graphical marvels of video games, like how much they've evolved and how much they can push the limits. But if you don't have a good story, then it's not necessarily the best game.
If it's just a graphical demo, what's the point?
Yeah, then just make it a cool movie and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I agree. I definitely think, just based off of what we've seen this year, very likely it's Red Dead Redemption, with most likely God of War winning it. I would actually love to see Return of the Obra Dinn win, just because that one's so much different than everything else. But very likely it's going to be God of War. And I mean, oftentimes you like most award things for TV, for movies, for anything, you can usually tell who's going to win ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not either. We've seen God of War win so many of these awards already since it came out, which I don't think it's a bad thing. The game was fantastic, and I think it is well deserved. But I think you do kind of get to the point where we have so many award shows or so many awards that go out to these games, and every website has their game of the year that they have to do, every magazine, everything. So eventually you kind of just go, all right, well, it's going to be one of these two, or it's going to be this one every single time, and that's all there is to it.
I think it's a really good thing, though, that games like God of War are winning a ton of awards, because it's a message to these big game development companies that, hey, look, single-player experiences are still desired by the general gaming community. Yes. They want good single-player games with great story, and not these yearly online games that are just churning out the same old rubbish with a different aesthetic, They want decent games, and God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2 are great examples of single-player experiences that people actually want.
And I feel like this last year was the perfect timing for those single player games to come out, because we started to see more and more developers, or mostly publishers, saying, no, we don't want you to make single player games because nobody's going to buy them. We just want you to make these games as a service, as they're calling them, or reskin the game that you've made 4,000 times before and release it again because people are going to buy it. And they specifically were saying no one plays single player games. And then God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, and I can't tell you how many other games came out, and everyone was just blown away by them. And they're stealing the show back from those, Call of Duty games, Battlefront, all of the big games that they're saying, no, this is what people want, where the people are saying, that's not what we want, stop it.
Yeah. I think it's telling that Battlefield 5 did very poorly compared to what they were hoping it would do. I think it's a message to them that this stuff is a bit old now. They need to do something different rather than rehashing the same thing every year. So hopefully we're going to see a bit of a shake-up in terms of what they're putting out, and hopefully it means better experience for everybody. But time will tell.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I just pulled up a Wikipedia article, looking at past winners for these awards, and here's some of the games that have won Best Game before. Last year's award, it was a game called What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, that game was so good.
Yeah, and then we had Uncharted 4, Fallout 4, Destiny, The Last of Us, Dishonored. Portal 2 actually won Best Game. Mass Effect 2.
It should have. That was amazing.
That game was fantastic.
And then Batman Arkham Asylum, Super Mario Galaxy, BioShock, and that's going back as far as I could when they actually did a best game. Once you get back to the 2006 ceremony, they stopped doing here we go. Oh yeah, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Half-Life 2, and then 2003, which was the earliest one they ever did. Call of Duty was the very first one to ever win. So it's a very interesting. It's a very interesting array of games for best game. It's not all it's a lot of it was big studios, but it wasn't all. Some of them were shooters, some of them were story based. It's a very wide array of games, and so yeah, all of our talk of God of War probably has it in the bag, and it still probably does. Any one of those, just based off of past precedents, any one of those games could have a chance.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see a lot of those games. Some of those don't have combat at all. Portal doesn't really have combat. I mean, it has some conflict, but you don't have a combat system. And then What Remains of Edith Finch, you don't interact with anyone else. It's you. She goes back to her old family house and goes through all the memories and finds out how everyone in her family, how they lived and how they passed away, things like that. So it was, it was totally kind of almost out of left field that something like that could win these big awards when supposedly what we all want is, Call of Duty 7000. Let
me tell you who Edith Finch beat last year for best game.
Ooh,
Assassin's Creed Origins, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey, and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. That's who they beat.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I'd say any game has a chance, just based off of that.
Man, I wish Hellblade would have won that. That's
they won quite a few awards.
That's one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game.
They won for artistic achievement, audio achievement, best British game, and best performer.
Yep. So yeah. Small backstory on that. We're going to tangent a little bit because I love that game so much. So they did all of the audio was recorded in 360 degrees. So they actually showed they were recorded in an ASMR fashion because the game takes place following the character Senua, who suffers from psychosis, which she's constantly hearing voices in her head telling her, different things that she could or couldn't do. She's not good enough. She needs to fight this way, things like that. So that for audio makes a lot of sense. And the actress who plays Senua was the studio's video editor. She had never done acting before in her life.
She was the one who won the performer award.
They brought her in and said, "Hey, we want to do a test with you and just get the shots set up and everything since you're here, and then we're gonna start auditioning people." And they did the test. They were like, "You're it." And so they had her do different acting classes and things like that, and it took off, which is awesome.
Yeah, bit of a change of career direction very suddenly.
I know. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't go on too much about it, but because I can talk about Hellblade for hours and hours on end. I love that game.
Yeah.
So here's a question: of the games that have come so far this year, do you guys think any of them are awards worthy?
Ooh, now I'm trying to think of what's come out this year.
Yeah.
Has anything big come out this year other than Apex?
We got some.
There's been some big announcements.
They were, what were they trying to? Oh yeah, so we got Anthem, right?
Mm-hmm. Which by all accounts is a miserable failure.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
that's a big
Kingdom
one.
Hearts 3.
Resident Evil 2 remake is a big one.
There we go. Apex, obviously, we've mentioned that.
I could definitely see Kingdom Hearts 3 taking some swings at that.
Yeah.
And
that's going to be nominated in a few categories, definitely.
Yep. Let's see here. I'm going through the list here. I don't think Anthem will. I think it was a good idea, but it's just not gone over super well, unfortunately.
It needed another year.
Yeah, it needed a little bit more development time. Let's see.
Not a little bit more, a whole 12 months.
but that doesn't mean that it can't come back. But I think it's going to have too much of a sour
First
taste in everyone's
impressions
mouth.
are the most important.
Exactly.
If you mess it up at the beginning, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've missed your chance.
Their only hope at that point would be having something basically like the original Division, where it came out, it didn't do super great. They had a patch that basically turned the game into a completely different game, and the community that had been a core community the whole time said, this is what we were looking for, this is great, and tried to bring people back in. So they probably won't be winning awards, but they still have a chance to maybe turn it around for that core community. But that's
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's similar to what happened with No Man's Sky,
Ooh.
Yeah.
where the developers are just continue to make it better. It's actually turned out all right now, I hear.
Yep.
Pretty good in a lot of ways. But the fact that they did that, they didn't just drop it. The fact that they carried on and actually kept it going and keep developing it is very admirable. Most game studios would just drop it and move on.
Yeah.
I
A lot
mean,
of them would.
That's kind of a similar thing happened with Destiny 2. Like, the original thing of Destiny 2 came out, and everybody was like, okay, this kind of sucks. But then they brought out the Forsaken DLC, and everybody was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. And they just added, they're still adding content. But the problem with Anthem, I think, is Anthem had no fan base.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have like a fan base that was already in there like Division or Destiny did. It was supposedly a brand new game that was trying to pull players from Destiny, honestly. Combine that, it's an EA game.
Yeah. You get a little bit of a bias already from that, unfortunately. But, I mean, it doesn't matter who publishes it. If the game comes out and it's crashing so badly that it can possibly brick people's consoles, you're probably not going to win any awards.
I think it's highly ironic comparing Anthem to Apex Legends. Both published by EA. EA pumped all their marketing money into Anthem, pumped basically none into Apex, apart from the paying streamers to play it. Mm-hmm. That was about it. And it was Apex that did super, super well. So essentially they've wasted probably hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising Anthem that turned out to be just a very mediocre game.
Yeah. And I don't know that I would say that it's a game that's going to fail, but just since we're specifically asking for awards, it's not winning any awards for sure.
Yeah.
I think kind of also here looking at the list, the other big names that I'm seeing that people have been talking a lot about are Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah.
Which I have not played yet. I have it. It is sitting on my counter and it is ready to be played. It is probably one of the next ones I'm going to be playing, but I haven't played it yet, so I can't speak to it. But I've heard a lot of great things so far. And then we've got the Division 2, which is going to, could go either way still, I think. It's still very, very, very new. And then the other big name that I'm seeing a lot of people talk about that is coming out tomorrow, well, tonight at midnight, is, I'm probably going to butcher the name, Sekiro's Shadows Die Twice.
I've heard a lot of buzz about it.
Yeah, it's a From Software game, so people are gonna get into it, I think. I actually also have a copy of that to play, and I can already see in chat that Mark is upset with my pronunciation because he is always upset whenever I pronounce any game in Japanese incorrectly.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Sometimes I do it just to mess with him.
I don't think you did it that time, though.
I didn't, but sometimes he'll tell me how to say it, and I'll say it wrong a few more times just to kind of, poke at him a little bit.
Well done.
Yeah, so something a little bit that I kind of saw interesting from a tweet, actually. You mentioned Apex not having a lot of advertising other than streamers, that people are starting to see it as a Hulu ad. So, Hulu has ads between shows. It's starting to pop up sometimes for people, which I think is interesting.
I saw it on Spotify, actually.
Okay, yeah, Spotify's another interesting one.
Well, it's easy to see how successful Apex is.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to capitalize on that, you pump more money into it. So
Yeah.
one way of doing that is advertising on modern platforms, so things that people actually frequent, like Hulu, Spotify, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think about it because we actually watch Hulu a lot. I'm trying to think of other game ads that I've seen on there. I think the biggest ones I've seen Call of Duty maybe a couple of times when the new one's coming out, but they have so much money to do whatever they want with it that they'll just advertise it in the newspaper at this point just to have one more person look at it. But I don't see a lot of like gaming ads on there, so I think Apex throwing that in there is a really good idea. That's where your target audience likely is. Most people who are younger and into gaming are probably using these digital services versus traditional cable, unless they have it for like free or something through their apartment. But I don't have cable because I don't have it for free anymore.
Why?
So I had it for free in apartments, and that was nice because it was free. But
you got it for free?
Yeah, every apartment I ever lived in had free cable.
Huh.
But they had agreements with those providers that they were the only people allowed to service internet or cable in those buildings. So I think that was part of the agreement was, hey, we'll give you the free cable, then they have to pay for our internet. So they were guaranteed service. Which I think is...
Makes sense.
It's a pretty common thing around here. I don't know how common it is in other places, but it's very common in my city.
I pay for my own... I wasn't told I had to buy specific internet, and I don't have free apartment complex. It's not the case, but who knows?
Yeah. And usually it's whenever apartment complexes are built or something, they'll sign a contract with them so that company's guaranteed money. It makes sense from a company standpoint, I guess. And if you give me cable for free, I guess I don't really care. But
yeah.
Anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with the Bafta Awards? Any other games that you've played this year or that are coming out later this year that you think could be contenders? If they don't, flop and screw it all up.
Anthem, excuse me. Sorry about that.
I'm sure we'll see some more games like Anthem that were very hyped and then turn out to be mediocre.
Oh yeah, we'll see
every year.
A lot of those.
And it's just a general tell about how in tune these big publishers are with the gaming audience as a whole. They tend to advertise the games that people don't really care about in the end, and then they ignore the stuff that people do. So they should probably just sack their entire advertising staff and hire some actual gamers rather than these old people that know nothing about gaming.
Haven't we talked about that before? That sounds pretty familiar. I think we talked about that on like the first or second episode, that we have people so out of touch with the internet.
Yeah, I remember that.
THQ Nordic.
I mean, we already knew EA was out of touch. I mean, come on, they're the ones with the most disliked Reddit comment in the history of Reddit.
Well, they're the most disliked company in the world.
The history of companies.
Like that,
Yep.
Except for the IRS.
They keep winning that award. The worst, the like worst company in the world or something. It's not an award you want to keep winning, but yet they still do.
Yep.
Yeah, it's sad because it's like we're here on the outside looking in thinking like, okay, all you have to do is do this, this, and this, and stop doing this, this, and this, and shut your mouth here, here, and here. But
and then they just kind of go, nah, just rip up that list. They're like, we don't want to do that.
Right?
It'd be too easy to listen to your customers.
They're too interested in short-term games rather than long-term rewards. They're looking at the short term and not thinking long-term.
Yep.
Short-term gains are good, but if they're sacrificing long-term gains, it's a bad idea because in the end you make less money.
Yep. And whoever is, the top business guy that looks at it and goes, well, I didn't get enough money in my pocket this year, says that's not good enough.
Fired.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's sad though because it's just like to so many people in like upper echelons, it's about money, 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 short term. Where am I getting the money now? Am I getting the money now? And so many of them, they're so focused on the trees that they can't see the forest around them. And then so many people suffer for that mindset because people are getting canned because, Joe Smith, CEO, doesn't understand that, say, social media can take months or even years to develop a following. Or,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know it seems like Ninja became famous overnight, but he worked at it. Just the same as any of us did who put on our any one of us who puts on headphones and gets online every day. We work for it.
Yep.
And
most big streamers have been streaming for years, 5+ years.
Exactly.
Yeah, or they had a start somewhere else. Like, we talk about it all the time. Ninja was a professional Halo player. So he was in the eyes of the Halo community. And then when he moved to streaming, he did have a little bit of a start from that. But that doesn't mean that he didn't work his ass off to get there.
Exactly.
You don't become a professional Halo player without work and practice. So
So it's like, and it's just so many people suffer. Like, I had a boss once who didn't really understand how social worked. And he basically told me, it's like, yeah, if I don't see results in 2 months, you're getting fired. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. I can't start with nothing and build you visible results in 2 months. I'm not that good. Wish I was, but I'm not that good. So,
yeah, and I think we run into that far too often in every industry. It's not just the gaming industry. Mm-hmm. You run into it everywhere. Yeah. But that's a conversation for another day on another podcast, I'm sure, because I could go on and on about that one. So,
oh boy,
we'll move to the next topic, and I think this one is going to possibly be a little bit of a long one too. Have you guys seen a lot about Google Stadia?
Honestly, the first I'd heard about it was when you said something. When we were talking about topics for the evening. I had not heard about it until then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Google Stadia was announced at GDC this last week. And what it is a cloud streaming gaming service from Google. So, I can go into all the specifics in a second, but I can talk about my personal experience with their beta. And it's a short one, but they had it. It was called Google Project Stream. I actually tested it on my Twitch stream while I was streaming the game through the internet, and it worked great. Consider the fact that, one, I'm at my home. I have a desktop PC that is hardwired into my router. So, that does factor into a lot of things, but it worked very well. And on top of it, I was also streaming onto Twitch. So take kind of all of that in maybe with a little bit of a grain of salt, because like I said, I was hardwired. I had the perfect situation for it. But it worked very well. So what they're wanting to do is make a seamless cloud gaming experience from your PC to your phone to your laptop, no matter how powerful it is. They were running them on Google Chromebooks, and they were very low-end Chromebooks from what I understand, to your TV. So everywhere, it's all through the cloud. That's their idea. There's a lot of really cool features with it. Some of them that stand out to me are if you're watching someone on YouTube, either stream it or a video of it, you can get to a part in the game and go, I want to play that game. You get an immediate link to Stadia. You pull it up. You can play the game right away. You don't have to download it. You don't have to do anything. You just click and you play.
That's crazy.
The most interesting thing to me, and this is more like on the technical side of it, I've got the article pulled up here where the kind of the head of it and everything is talking to Kotaku. 1080p 60 frames per second requires about 25 megabits per second for your speed. 4K is going to be about 30 megabits per second.
I'm assuming that's good.
Well, considering I have, in most places at this point, we're seeing speeds starting at about 100 megabits per second. There's a lot of places that this will not work. We've talked about this before on the show, that where my parents live, it is out, kind of in the boondocks. They have 2.5 megabits per second down on a good day with the sun shining, not a cloud in the sky. Perfect situation. They get 2.5 megabits. That won't work for them. But we're seeing a lot more places start to get these better speeds of internet. So more and more people will be able to use this. Microsoft has started to kind of tease at doing the same thing, where they want you to buy a box. You use that and it streams everything to the box for you rather than buying a $500 Xbox that is powerful locally. So I think more and more companies want to do this. I think if anyone can do it right, something with the internet and networking, it's Google. But I also have the same fear I have of every Google product as someone who's a big Google fan, an Android fan, that they're going to abandon it.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah, we just saw Allo go away, which was their messaging service.
Google Plus.
Yeah, Google Plus is going away next year.
Because who uses Google Plus?
I'm surprised it's made it this far.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was going to go away about 5 years ago.
Yep. I personally liked Google Plus for about 1.5 to 2 years because it was just a bunch of tech nerds talking tech nerd stuff, and that was it. I didn't have all the political stuff I have on my Facebook. I didn't have anything that I didn't really want. I could just go there, and it was mostly people talking about like Google products or Android products, and it was great.
I hated it because they made you. It was back when they made you make a Google Plus account in order to be able to comment on YouTube videos.
Yeah, that was not a good idea.
No.
They needed
it wasn't.
for Google Plus to work, they needed to put features in Google Plus that people actually wanted, not just copies of Facebook.
Yep.
And although they might have done a little bit here and a little bit there, it was just not enough to bring people over. In the end, the Google projects that succeed are the ones that people actually have a use for and want to use. And with Google Stadia, I think people will actually be interested in using it if it's actually good.
Yeah.
If the latency is super low, if the
Right.
responsiveness is great, if the quality of the streaming to your device is actually good quality, that's going to be the litmus test. Is it a good gaming experience? And if the answer is yes, and the price is good, then people will use it and it will be successful.
Yep. And there's still a lot that we don't know about it, the biggest one being the cost. We have no idea what the cost is going to be. They haven't talked about it yet. They haven't even teased it anything. The biggest things that we know about it are what they say it can do, what it's supposed to do. There's also going to be a controller that you can buy specifically for this. If you're playing on PC or your laptop, you can use any USB controller just like you would with any other game. If you're playing it on your TV right now, it's going to go through Google Chromecast, and that is going to require their specific controller. I don't know that it's a terrible thing. Don't know that it's a great thing because the controller does not look fantastic in my opinion. It looks like they took the worst things about the Xbox One controller and the worst things about the PlayStation controller and smushed them into one controller, and that's what they made. It doesn't mean it's going to be a bad controller, but just seeing it, not touching it yet, it looks kind of bad.
Yeah. I think on the price side of things, it's Google. They can afford to charge a really good low rate for people to get people in. And then because they're a big advertising platform, they can use that to then offset the low cost if they want to. I think Google are in an excellent position to offer the service at a very competitive rate. And let's face it, it's not going to be OnLive again because OnLive was a small company that did this. Their model wasn't great. The latency was bad, and it just failed. But I think Google can learn from the failures of OnLive and do really, really well with it.
Yeah, and they're not the first company to want to do this, like you said. There's other companies trying to do it right now. There's other companies trying to make their own version of it. You know, we have Steam with Big Picture Mode and the Steam Link. We have the PS4 with Play Anywhere or Remote Play. The Xbox with being able to cast it to your desktop, those types of things. But all of those still require you to buy every game and own a device that can play those games. Where this, it's all going to be ran from Google on their side, and all you basically need is a device that can accept the internet. They've got all the technical specs posted if you guys want to see that everywhere. We won't go into like the boring technical specs because I'll just ramble a lot and Mallet will stare
I don't
at me
understand
and go,
a word
"What
that
is
he's
he
talking
saying?"
about.
But to give you an idea, they are saying that it's going to be more powerful than the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X combined. So that gives you an idea of how far in the future they're wanting to look. They're talking about getting to the point when games come out in 8K, that you can stream them in 8K.
8K is largely unnecessary unless your screen is like 77 inches or something like that.
That's going to be a long time away.
I don't have room for a 77-inch screen.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they have 8K monitors out now from Dell, and people can already shoot videos in 8K, but, you know, you're looking at the very, very specific tech enthusiasts that are doing things like that.
If you're a rich nerd, then sure, 8K is great. But if you're not, then there's no reason to have it.
Yeah, because, I mean...
I'm a nerd. Does that count?
We say that, you know, these are going to stream
Rich
in 4K, and that's great, but I'm looking at 3 monitors right now, and none of them are 4K monitors.
Yeah.
I have one 4K screen in my house, and it's the television in my living room. So
yeah, we're still
a
not 4K
there yet.
TV as one of my screens for my PC. But
right.
I don't game on it because of the increased latency, because it's a TV, not a monitor.
Exactly.
But it's very useful to have one connected to my PC.
Oh yeah.
My TV's smaller than my PC monitors.
Nothing wrong with that.
Really?
You know what you're
I
using.
bought it in college.
You know
I bought
about.
it was like $70 in college, and that's perfect for college.
Oh yeah.
Especially when I really didn't like my college apartment mates, and I spent most of my time locked in my room. But that's a story for another day. And no, I didn't murder them, Chad. I know that's what you guys are thinking.
I don't believe her. I'm kidding.
You hurt my heart.
So the other big thing that we've got is the people who are partnering with Google Stadia. We've already had id Software Bethesda say the new Doom is going to come out on this. To give you the list and just some of the big names that I see, we've got Unity, AMD, Vulkan, CryEngine. I know Unreal is one of them. We've got a big list of people who are already on board and already interested in putting products on this platform. So
yeah, that's another thing that's important for Stadia to succeed. They need the games that people want to play on there.
Yeah,
all of them.
Do we need to remember the Wii U?
Of AAA titles. Yeah.
So, yeah, the Wii U came out, did not do well because it didn't have all of these people involved. The Switch came out, and look how well it's done with all of these people involved. So I'm sure Google saw that and said, if we're going to do this, we got to get the big people involved. You know, the test that we did for they call it, like I said, it was Project Stream before it was this. The game that they had was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So, you know, they had the newest Assassin's Creed game. Ubisoft is clearly on board. They've got the other big thing that doesn't pertain to a lot of us as much because it has more to do with the game developers themselves. And this is a very specific feature that the name I can't remember of. But you could basically you start developing a game. You have a big blue box. There's nothing else there. You have like the person, you have the city, everything, but there's no texture on it. You take any photo and you can drop it in there and it will texture the world around the photo. So the one that they kind of showed off was it was Pac-Man. They showed it off and it basically made the world look like a big Pac-Man board. So for people who may not be as, you know, creative with art, but they're very good with the other side of creating a game, you won't be limited as much by your artistic skills or by the knowledge that you have of these things. You can go, that looks cool, and drop it, and it will make the world for you.
Yeah,
So
game development is just ever increasingly becoming easier and easier and easier for people, which is why we're seeing so many really, really excellent indie games coming out over the past 5-10 years, and it'll only ever increase. I think the big indie games are influencing the big publishers in some ways in order to make better games, because they're seeing these indie games that have been made by one or just a handful of people do really well, and they can then take those concepts that these people that know what they're doing, creating great games, and put them into the AAA titles that people really want to play. So it can only ever help the game industry by making game development easier for everybody.
yeah, and we've seen Microsoft be behind that for years now with ID at Xbox. It's indie development. That's it. They have specifically a section of Microsoft that is dedicated to helping indie game developers get their game out on Xbox, which, that's great for Xbox players. I wish we would see Sony and Nintendo get a little bit more on board with that. And then, obviously we have Steam for PC, and PC feels like a completely different world in those types of aspects as far as releasing your games. But, we see Microsoft getting behind it, and we've seen Microsoft buy so many studios in the past year to make them first-party Microsoft studios, which shows, just like you said, these single-player games, these indie games that are maybe made by a tiny team of people are showing them that this is what people want to play. These games can be just as good as your, Call of Duty, where you have however many people making it and however big of a budget on it.
Yeah, you don't need to spend $500 million on a game to make it good.
Exactly. Yeah, so we've got Stadia, we've got Xbox and Microsoft wanting to do something similar, it sounds like. Do you guys think this is where gaming is going? Or do we think this is just going to be another way for people to get their games?
I think it depends on what you said at the very beginning. Google stick with it. If Google bails, everybody else probably will think, oh, Google couldn't have it. So I think that's the big question. Will Google stick with it?
Yeah.
I think the biggest question is it what people want?
Yep. And I mean, we've already got subscription services for games out there. There's Humble Bundle Monthly. There's Game Pass. That's the newest one from Xbox, where you pay $10 a month. You can download the game and you play it as much as you want. Humble Monthly, you own the game forever, no matter what. Game Pass, it's unless the game gets removed from Game Pass, which that always becomes my biggest concern, is these games leaving those services. Because, let's say you download the game, you get halfway through it, and then suddenly you have no more access to it because it left the service. Are you going to buy the game, or are you just going to say, I just don't care anymore? It's not worth the hassle. So I always worry about these types of things with those things leaving the service. Just like we see with Netflix every month, there's 5 million websites now that are what's going and leaving Netflix in the month of, like, whatever the next month is. And people get invested in a series, then it leaves, and they go, well, crap, now I'll never know how it ends. So as long as that doesn't become a regular thing, I could see this being great for people. If you're someone who plays every game that comes out, or at least wants to try every game, paying $10 a month is a lot cheaper than paying $60 per big game that comes out. Because there's plenty of games that I look at now and I go, man, I'm probably never going to play that because it's just, I don't have the budget to buy it, or, it's something I wouldn't want to pay that much money just to find out I don't like it.
Yeah. And I think there's I think what Google is seeing is there's a big market of PC gamers, or just gamers in general, that want to play these high-spec games but don't have the hardware. They're like, hey, I want to play this game, but I can't run it. And Google is saying, hey, we could do something about that. You could pay us a little bit of money every month and play those games almost as if you're playing it on your PC, but you don't have to have a supercomputer to play it.
Right.
We've got the supercomputer. Let us lend you some of it and you can play the game. So I think that's the audience they're going for, the people that can't play the games by themselves and need help to do it. And Google are in a great position to offer that help, and that's what they're doing. So we'll see. Is that audience big enough to actually warrant the cost that Google are putting down to make this a reality? We'll just have to see.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm interested in seeing when it's actually out and we can actually use it, is those low-end devices actually using the service. Because, like I said, I tested it, but I had, the perfect situation for it. I don't have the highest end gaming PC in the world, but it does not struggle with anything. So being able to play that game through my PC, they can tell me all they want that, hey, yeah, if you had, a Pentium in your computer with 4 gigs of RAM and you were only running one Chrome instance, this would work perfect. Until I see it, I don't know that I'm fully on board or believe it.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it now. A friend of mine was having a graphics card issue. She could not play a game and watch a YouTube video at the same time. Think about a laptop that has an integrated, graphics processing through its already low-end processor with next to no RAM. Is it going to run perfectly, or is it just going to, shut down and implode on itself?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
who knows?
So
we'll see.
It's an interesting idea. I want to see it when it comes out. I hope what they do, and I think the best way for them to get this in people's hands is to do exactly what Microsoft has been doing with Game Pass, and either give you a trial of it or say, hey, your first month is $1, and then after that it goes to the full price, because then you get a full month. It's $1 to test it, and if it works out really well for you, then you can evaluate, is this going to be worth whatever the price is per month that they're going to say it is. I can't see it being that expensive, but I think letting people try it before they commit to a month of service, and Google is very good about doing that. I think they will. I think that's going to be a big play in it, because if they have a free trial of it, I want to try it on every device that I have to see how it really works.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to have some kind of free trial. They're Google. They've got all the money, all of it.
And I can't think of a paid service that's come out from them that doesn't have a free trial.
Yeah. One example of a paid service I use with Google that's so much cheaper than the competition is their Google Drive service.
Yes.
I pay for extra storage on there. And if you compare that to Dropbox, their prices are about a quarter of what Dropbox are charging, which is insane.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's basically the same service, but a hell of a lot cheaper, because it's Google. So I'm not worried about the price. I'm sure they'll do some kind of free trial to push this out and say, hey, this is actually a good experience. Give it a go, and they have the money to take that risk without going under.
Yeah, I mean, I use Google Drive too, and I pay for the extra storage, but I think I pay like $2 a month. Like, it's nothing. And my favorite part about it is that it integrates with my other Google products of Sheets, Docs, and all that stuff. So I don't have to worry about, did I upload that Word document? I just go, I used Google Docs. It's in there. It's ready to be shared. That's what we use every week for this show. We use Google Sheets for the schedule. So all of that is already in my Google Drive and can be shared immediately with everyone. So much easier. So the last thing about Stadia that I think is interesting is that if you're playing the game, you can stream it directly to YouTube and up to 4K. So if you want to stream, you can do it. Do you guys think that's going to see a surge in streamers on YouTube?
No. Because YouTube is not known for that right now. Even if they push it, and even though several major YouTubers often stream on YouTube, YouTube is for videos, Twitch is for streaming. That's how it's known right now. They'd have to do a concentrated marketing push, I think, to really get people to start using the stream to YouTube. Combine that with the fact that YouTube's lost a lot of goodwill with their algorithm changes and their unwillingness to do anything about copyright strikes and several other issues, and they've lost a lot of goodwill that way. Like, I mean, you see it all the time, YouTubers jumping. Like, they'd have to do a very, very concentrated marketing push, and YouTube has shown over the past year that they, as we've mentioned several times tonight, they don't know what the people want. Mm-hmm. Their own rewind video for 2018 became the most disliked video on the site. And it was their video.
So it made me so
It was
happy.
Terrible. But it was their video. Like, if that doesn't show you how far they've fallen in that sense, it was their own video. So, yeah, no.
Yeah. They released a video, early 2018, about the community policing thing that got a ton of dislikes, like 95% dislikes or something.
Yep.
So they've released probably a series of official videos that have been highly disliked. So they need to really reevaluate what they're doing, because they're clearly not in touch with the community as a whole.
Oh, yeah. But that's a topic for another podcast. Because I can go into that for hours.
Yeah, I think it's
here all night.
I think it's interesting that you can stream it to YouTube, but it also makes a lot of sense that, it's already in their system. It's already in their ecosystem. Yeah. Going from one server to the YouTube side probably isn't that difficult for them. And it's
it's just the next room over or something.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
The next block, the next server block over.
Yeah. So I think we could see a few people trying it out just to try it, but I agree. I don't see it being a surge in people that are like, well, I'm going to stream on YouTube now because I can do this. You've
streams on YouTube.
I would think most people who are probably wanting to use this service already play video games. Like, it's not somebody who's like, I've never played a video game before. Let's try this Google service.
I've never played a video game before.
You're probably going to go buy an Xbox or a PlayStation from GameStop or Walmart if you've never played a game and you want to start getting into it.
I mean, here's the thing, though. For people that have never played the game, any video games before, they're probably not going to have a gaming PC, let's face it. They're going to have an old, probably 10-year-old laptop that can barely run, Excel or whatever.
Or just their phone.
Yeah. But in the end, that's powerful enough to run the Google Stadia service. So if some of their friends can say, hey, look, you can actually game high-tier games on what you have already, why not give it a go? Then there's that service for them to do that. Sure, it won't be a huge audience, but more people will get into gaming if Google make it accessible for them, which they're doing. So,
yeah, I just don't see that guy being the one who's also going to stream on YouTube.
No.
I feel like if you've ever thought about streaming, you probably are already into games or in some way playing games. And since you can stream directly from your Xbox, your PlayStation, if you don't have a high-end PC, you can still plug a camera into those and have some type of webcam. The Xbox, I think it's only the Kinect. The PlayStation, I think you can use a couple maybe, if I'm remembering right. I've never streamed directly from a console, so I'm not sure. But with it going from Stadia servers to you and then Stadia servers to YouTube, you don't have that connection at all. So I don't know that there's going to be a lot of interaction if you stream it. It would almost just be the gameplay. So I think being able to
exactly how it works.
Export that to YouTube and say like, hey, here's the first 2 hours of this game. I played it. I enjoyed it. I think you might like it. Check it out. People can do that without needing to record it, clip it, upload it, whatever, however you want to do it. It can all just be done directly from there. But I don't see it being a big... I don't think people are going to use it that much.
Okay.
They might do a few clips to YouTube here and there, but I don't see it being something where you stream a lot of it.
Well, there's one thing they did, highlight with the streaming side of it, and that's the ability to integrate seamlessly with the community and them joining you in the game, right? So if you're playing a multiplayer game, they'll have a button where people could just click it and join you. And that's an attractive thing for people that do play with their community.
Yeah.
So there is reason to do it. I don't know if that's a big enough draw, though.
Yeah, and then you're also depending on everyone in your community having Stadia as well for them to be able to do that one-click join. So I think it'll be interesting to see how people can make use of it. Maybe if you're already a current content creator, what you can do new with this, since there are some things that you can do. Like you can create challenges and your community can see it and they can join the game and try to beat that, like your score, things like that. So I think that could be something good for current creators, but I don't see a lot of people jumping into Stadia that aren't already creators and trying to make that their big push.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool beans.
Yeah, so that's everything we know about Google Stadia right now. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, we're going to have some more news in the summer. They don't know. They have not said when it's going to be. They have not confirmed nor denied that it will be at E3. They just say in the summer, and that's all that they'll give us. So hopefully we'll see something cool and something new from them. I want to see the price more than anything, I think. And I think that's probably what most people want to see right now is how much is this going to cost? Because if it's going to be a ridiculous amount of money per month, they're probably just going to stop paying attention to it if they're not going to subscribe.
Yeah.
I think announcing a price at the same time you announce the service is probably a bad idea.
Oh, yeah.
What you want to do is announce it first, get the community feedback on what they think, how much they'd want to pay for it, and then work it out from there. So it's probably going to be a few months before they even know themselves what they're going to charge for it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they might have like an idea of threshold both ways. Like, we will not go below this price, we will not go above this price. But I'm sure that they're paying attention to social media. They're looking for these conversations, someone saying, oh, well, I'll only pay $10 a month versus the percentage of people who are like, well, I'll pay $15 a month for it, things like that. So they're seeing what people will pay for it, which is smart. And they're also probably hoping it, like I said, we've got the rumor of Microsoft maybe doing it. Maybe they're hoping Microsoft will get it out first, and they're going to say if it's still only going to be the price of Game Pass or if the cloud version of it's going to cost more.
Okay.
So there's still a lot to be heard. Hopefully we hear some good stuff soon this summer. That's closer than you guys think it is.
We're only in like third winter right now.
We've got four more winters to go through.
Well, no, we're in third winter, and then like pollen snow should be coming fairly short.
Hay fever season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, it's either fourth winter or summer.
Yep.
And
we never know till we get there.
And then it's pits of hell. Mm-hmm. And then summer again. And then fake fall, summer, second summer, fake fall 2, third summer, actual fall for about a week, winter, pits of hell. So, yeah.
We get lovely weather here.
Hey, if you don't get the weather here, you wait 20 minutes.
And then I live in England, so...
Rain.
Get maybe a week of summer and that's about it.
Just rain.
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone goes mad and buys swimming pools and barbecues, and then it starts raining, and they're like, oh.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Last time I went was in May of 2016, and it was like still pretty chilly to me. And I go, and my friend who lives in London, he's like wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I'm just like, I ended up having the last laugh because it started raining, and we got caught in it. And it wasn't as cold as he was because he was wearing shorts. Okay, tangent. Anyway.
All right. So, what do you have any other thoughts on Stadia, on the Bafta Awards, anything at all that we've talked about tonight?
If we're talking about Overwatch, the Seoul Dynasty's beating the NYXL right now in the playoffs. They're up to nothing.
There you go.
Hey.
That dates this podcast.
I know. No, not necessarily. They play each other a bit.
Yeah. Play each other
and they're 4 rounds. They're going to be 5 rounds. They're like 4 rounds of playoffs. And then the final playoffs. So, see, I'm not dating any.
All right. So, Dave, thanks for joining us, man. It was good getting to talk to you, getting to learn about you, what you're all about on streaming, and your Overwatch career. Well, let us know where we can find you. On Twitter, Twitch, all the places, and if you have anything big coming up, events on the stream, anything like that.
Well, you can find me as TreeBoyDave on all the various platforms: Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, my main three. I stream every day except Friday, starting at 2 p.m. UK time, whatever time zone that ends up being, depending on the time of year.
We said you were about 4 hours ahead of Mallet. Is that right?
Yeah, it's currently still in
with
GMT,
daylight savings
For now.
Yeah, we'll start British summertime in quotes. Of course, there's only a week of summer in England, but we'll turn our clocks forward at the end of the month, so it'll change on the 31st of March. That's the word.
whatever month we're in.
Yeah, but yeah, 2 p.m. Every day except Friday on Twitch. I upload my streams to my YouTube from the previous day. So, yeah, tweet out stuff as it happens.
All right. Well, Mallet, what about you? Where can we find you? What's your schedule like? And do you have any big events coming up for your stream?
Spell it all out. It's Mallet Editor, the same on everything. Instagram, all that jazz. If you want to see me look fabulous, just come on to Instagram. Mondays are always Murder Mondays, where I promise people we just murder their hopes, dreams, and feelings. And then we are going Wednesday and Friday on Apex Legends right now. As any of you who have been on my streams know, I've been dealing with some health issues that make sitting and playing things painful for long periods of time. And then you guys can find me at PlaythroughCon at the Raleigh Convention Center, Raleigh, North Carolina next weekend. On Saturday, I will be cosplaying Nia from Dead by Daylight, so don't worry. Every rumor you've ever heard about me being a murderous psychopath, they're all true! Yay! I will be entering the cosplay contest, but if you guys want to hang out, and then at least one other day I'll be wearing my shirt with my logo on it, so that'll probably be Sunday. But yeah, so you can come hang out with me there. My outfit's gonna be covered with fake blood on Saturday, so hug me at your own risk. I'm gonna do my best to not make it sticky. I'm gonna start painting the clothes like tomorrow.
Okay, so yeah, hopefully
once
it'll
I
be
make
good
sure they
and dry
fit,
by
so that
then.
way it'll be nice and dry. Yeah, and then like the fake blood is gonna be on my face. So along with fake dirt, I found makeup supposed to make it look like dirt. I mean, I'm a tier 3 Nia. So anyway, yeah, so you guys can catch me there. In the meantime, like, I really apologize for having to cut my stream short, but until they can't get me into the rheumatologist until the end of May, so, and until we find some way to get this joint pain to stop, I can only do but so much right now.
Yeah, completely understandable. Whether you're starting out on Twitch or you've been doing it for years, you guys don't forget to take care of yourself too. If you're hurting, stop. If you're tired, stop. Whatever it is, don't feel like you have to push through excruciating pain. I'm not saying, if you oh man, I need to get up and stretch for a second. That doesn't mean you have to end your stream. But if it's something that you really need to end the stream for, don't hesitate to do it. So, guys, as always, my name is Mr. Pure Instinct, or MPI. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the places under Mr. Pure Instinct, except for Facebook. It's Mr. Pure Instinct TV, for whatever reason. I stream Monday through Thursday on Twitch. The schedule is up in the air right now, so follow me on Twitter so you know what that schedule will be. And this episode will be up on Monday on your favorite podcasting platform as well as YouTube. So if you came in late and missed maybe some of the other topics or anything, or you just want to listen to it again, it's available for you on all those on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back next Thursday, as per usual, where I'm sure Mallet and I will talk a little bit more about playthrough, since it'll be that week. I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Next week's episode on Thursday will probably be uploaded to podcasting platforms and YouTube late, because I have to leave for the airport at like 5 a.m. on Friday after the episode to fly to playthrough. So I'm going to try to get it. Depending on how things go, I might try to edit it on the plane, but I won't be able to upload it. So it's that, or I sit there and stare out the window. So, but it'll probably be late. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know, and I'll remind you next week as well. But most importantly, this week's episode will be up on Monday. So Dave, Mallet, thank you guys both for joining me. Thanks for the great conversations. And you guys can catch all of us on Twitch at all of the times. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.